Several years ago, I recorded a drive-through of Smokemont Campground. We decided to do it again this past fall as we were on the way back from Pigeon Forge headed toward Asheville. We stop by Smokemont quite often anytime we're in the area just to drive through even if we aren't camping. This place is near and dear to my heart with many, many memories there from years past.
I hope you can smell it when you get here.
Now what?
Smokemont.
I'm not sure you could hear that over my truck, but my wife was saying that she hopes I can smell Smokemont once we get there. Reason being, since COVID, my nose hasn't worked the same, but Smokemont definitely has a familiar smell. Just the nature, the woods, the fresh air, and the campfires. It always smells the same over the years. So up here around the curve, you'll see a building to the left, and I'm not sure what that building is exactly, but I know in the late 70s, as I was a kid coming to Smokemont, there was a park ranger named Woody, and we understood that he lived there or stayed there while working, but he would always come by our campsites. He visited everyone's campsite. He always had a smile. I don't know his real name, but I know he went by Woody. We always invited him to eat with us, and sometimes he would. Sometimes he would just hang out and chat for a little while and move on to the next campsite. So as I pass the check-in station, you can see the campsites coming up here on the left. In total, Smokemont has 138 primitive campsites. No water, sewer, or power hookups, no phone service, no Wi-Fi. You come to Smokemont to disconnect. The activities at Smokemont are riding your bikes if you bring one, riding an inner tube from the upper end all the way down to the bridge if you bring an inner tube, skipping rocks in the creek. I've taught all my kids how to skip rocks here at Smokemont, or riding horses if you go down to the stable, or you can hike the many trails they have to offer. There are also several old cemeteries you can go visit on some of these trails, or you can just spend quality time with your family and friends. The first part of the campground here I'm passing on the left is loops A, B, and C. Generator use is prohibited in loop A, B, and C May 15th through October 31st. If you think you're going to need a generator while camping, you may want to reserve a site in loop D. As we approach the gate here, this is the beginning of loop D. This is our favorite part of the campground. It's a little more shaded, which means it's a little cooler during the summer, and it is the upper end of the campground. Generator use is allowed in Loop D, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. As we're approaching D15, that is our favorite campsite and more than likely where you will find us when we're camping at Smokemont. Everyone seems to have their favorite campsite, and you can book those campsites 6 months in advance, but no more than 6 months in advance. You can book your campsites on recreation.gov. Simply go to recreation.gov, look up Smokemont, and you can see the campsites and the availability there. On the upper end of Loop D, you'll find several parking spots. These are for overflow parking and for hikers. You may see a couple roads cutting through Loop D here to the left. These roads are access roads to more campsites, as Loop D is the largest section in Smokemont. Coming up here to the left is the group camp area, and this additional parking is for group camp parking and overflow parking. As I'm editing this video to add voiceover, I'm looking at the fall colors, and I wanted to mention that there are no filters on this video. I've not edited the video quality at all. I'm adding voiceover and that's it. If you have not seen the Great Smoky Mountains in the fall, it is unmatched. Coming up here on the left, you'll see a dumpster. There are several dumpsters throughout Smokemont, and they are all bear-proof. Smokemont is a bear habitat. Though it's been many, many years since I've seen a bear in Smokemont, there's always the possibility. There's also deer, elk, turkey, skunks, and rattlesnakes on occasion. Coming up here on the left, you'll see smoke coming from the fire pit. That is a common sight here in Smokemont, as every campsite has a fire pit, which adds to that smell I was talking about, the smell of Smokemont. A very familiar smell. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. As we left Loop D and turned right to cross the river, we entered Loop F. Loop F is the only part of the campground that's separated from the rest of the campground by the river, and it is the smallest part of the campground. Only RVs are allowed in Loop F, no tents at all. This is also the least shaded part of the campground, which means during the summer it's going to be the warmer part of the campground, and you'll also see more solar panels in this area due to the lack of shade. Generator use is allowed in Loop F, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. If you need to find a campground host here in Smokemont, it's usually right here on the left before you exit Loop F. As we leave Loop F, crossing back over the river, turn right heading toward the exit. You'll then pass Loop C, B, and A on your way out. You'll also find plenty of overflow parking on the right along the way. Just up ahead on the right, just past the parking, you may see the handrail to the log bridge. That is the entrance and the beginning of the 3/4 mile nature trail that is hiked by many of the campers here at Smokemont. During the fall of the year, you don't see that many tarps draped up in the canopy, but during the summer, it is a very common thing. The big tarps come out to cover the campsite to keep everything dry. The scattered shower is a very common thing, and it is expected to see rain. Even though the forecast says no rain, don't leave anything out. You don't want to get wet. As we pass the last campsites here on the left, you'll see the dump station coming up on the right. You can empty your sewage tanks or sewage containers here at the dump station. As we exit Smokemont, we take the narrow road back out toward 441, the main road. 441 goes between Cherokee and Gatlinburg. This narrow road leaving Smokemont is, as I say, narrow. There's plenty of room for 2 RVs to pass, but it is a tight fit, so just be careful. My previously recorded video of Smokemont was in July of 2016. Everything was green and shaded. This video was recorded in October of 2023, and I would say a much more beautiful time of the year. I hope you have enjoyed this ride through in all the fall colors. Smokemont is definitely a beautiful and peaceful place to be. Thank you for watching the video. Happy camping.